Hi, I'm Tim Marsh and welcome to TourDefrancetips.com TV. Alright, today I'm doing a video comparison between bike bags when you want to take your bike on a plane. This video will appear in a post which also does a comparison between the products. So if you want to check out photos and stuff like that and get all the details in terms of price and the pros and cons in writing, then check out the post. Just do a search on bike bag review on the Google search bar on the right on the website. Okay, in front of me I've got an Evoc or Evo-C bike bag from Evo-C or Evoc. I did a video review of this and also a review of this on the website, so go check that out. What I want to talk today about is comparing this to a few other products. Sykon's Aero Comfort Plus, which is really popular with pro teams and amateurs, a bike pod, whether it's an OEM one or a Polaris bike pod, and also a standard airplane box, just a cardboard box. So we've got 4 products we're reviewing today. Now with bike bags, what I look for in terms of what appeals to me or the things that I like to consider with a bike bag. Firstly, we've got compactness, so how well the bike bag packs down in storage. I also look at weight of the bag when it's unloaded. I also look at the robustness, so how well it's put together. As you can see with this bag, we've got some pretty good features in terms of making sure the bag's robust, bash guards and the wheels are pretty robust, stuff like that. It's all covered in the review, so go check that out. I look at agility or portability, so when you're in the airport, how easily does the bag move around? When you're in tight check-in queues, there's nothing worse than having to lift bags around or boxes. Look at price as well. To me, it's less of a concern because to me the most important thing is utility of the bag and protecting the bike. I also look at what else do I look at? The weight. I've mentioned the weight. I've mentioned the compactness, the agility, the robustness, and the overall utility, and also how it protects the bike. So yeah, that's basically everything. So for me, this bag scored really well because it's very robust. As I mentioned in its review, it's got really good wheel system. All the zips are really good. Lots of handles and stuff for the baggage handlers. The internal and external protection for the bike's really good. The adaptability of the bag in terms of the internal straps, how well you can move your bike around for different bike sizes and stuff like that is really good. The portability or the agility is excellent because you can lift the front up. The weight's 9 kilos, so it's not too bad, it's not the best. The price of this bag is excellent. It's around $300, $330, something like that on Wiggle. And what else did we have? And the compactability, this bag packs down pretty well compared to some other solutions. So when you're in a camper van or if you want to store away in a hotel or storage in your house, then it's really good. So in terms of the lightness, I gave this bag a 3 out of 5. In terms of the compactness, I gave it a 4 out of 5. The robustness, it got 5 out of 5. It's really well constructed. For protecting the bike, it got 5 out of 5. I mean, the padding, and I mentioned in its review that it's got internal protection for the wheels and the bike is really good. The agility is about 4.5 out of 5. So overall, this bag it scores really well. Now next, I want to talk about the Sykon Aero Comfort Plus, which is really popular with pro teams and amateurs. Now I've used one of those when going to France, and it was a really good solution. Very agile, 5 out of 5. Compactability, 5 out of 5. It packs down really well. It's very light when it's unloaded. I don't remember how heavy it was, but it was quite light. For me, where that fell down was its robustness. The wheels have a tendency to come off. They're secured via internal nuts through a plate at the bottom, and I nearly lost a wheel on a friend's bag. I don't think they protect the bikes well enough, although pro teams obviously disagree with me. You need to put a lot of extra thought into protecting your hoods and derailleur and stuff like that. In terms of the cost of the Sykon, it's quite expensive. I think they're about $450 or something like that, so pretty expensive. So overall for the Sykon, I gave the price about a 2.5, 3 out of 5. I gave the weight of it a 5 out of 5 because it's very light. Compactability, 5 out of 5. In terms of protecting the bike, I only gave it about a 3 out of 5. And also the agility, a 5 out of 5. So overall, that's a really good bag. I don't rate it as well as this bag. I think the Evo-C is a better bag overall. but it's up to you. If you can get your hands on either one of them, then you should check both of them out by all means. Next up we have a bike pod. Now when I say bike pod, I mean a Polaris bike pod, and then there are OEM bike pods coming out of China obviously. Now they're two very, very different products. The Polaris is a lot lighter than the OEM ones, and it's also more expensive. So for a Polaris you can expect to pay about 400 Australian dollars, all the prices are in Australian dollars. The shipping obviously to Australia is expensive. If you're within Europe or the US, it might be a little bit cheaper. For me, the Polaris unloaded is only, I think, about 4, 5 or 6 kilos. It's very light. It protects the bike very well. It's got dense foam and it's rigid. Where the Polaris falls down is its overall utility. It's not agile at all. It doesn't have any straps, so you can't sort of lift the front up or like on the Cycon, which has got 4 wheels, the corner of a base, and you can just drag it along flat without having to lift it. The Polaris doesn't have any straps at all, so it's got this kind of dinky handle on the front where you have to just grab the foam like an imprint and drag the thing along, so it doesn't turn in a small turning circle. It doesn't have a small turning circle. You kind of have to lift it around checking cues, and also it's got a very narrow wheelbase, so it has a tendency to naturally fall over, and it's also, the wheelbase is uneven, so it's not as if it sits straight like this thing. With a reasonably wide wheelbase on this, is very well thought out. The Polaris just has a tendency to fall over, and also it's not compact at all. I mean, with the Polaris, if compactability is a concern for you in a camper van or in a hotel room or something, it's big and it's going to be in the way. So in terms of price, the Polaris only gets a 2 or 3. In terms of robustness and protecting the bike, it gets probably about a 4 out of 5. In terms of agility, a 1 out of 5. Weight, it gets probably 4 out of 5. And I think that covers all the metrics off, apart from compactability or compactness, and in that case it only gets like a 1 or a 2. I might have already mentioned that. An OEM bike pod is a different kettle of fish, much cheaper, so around 200 Australian dollars, so the price is, you know, a 5 out of 5. It's very heavy. They're about 13 kilos, so I give it a 1 or a 2, maybe even a 0 out of 5. In terms of agility, it's an absolute beast to move around. They track in a crooked line. They don't track straight, so that's a 1 out of 5, maybe even a 0. The wheelbase is a little bit wider than a Polaris, so they're a little bit more stable, but still for me, it's a concern. They protect the bike, so they get a 5 out of 5 for protecting the bike, and compactability, horrible, 1 out of 5. They're even bigger than a Polaris one. And lastly, we have a bike box. Now, for me, a bike box, they're a good solution. You buy them for $30 or something from an airline. They're very, very light, so you give them a 5 out of 5. You can pack them flat and retape them if you need to, but the problem is when you pack them flat, they're still very big, so unless you can leave them at a higher place when you're on the road, I mean, storing them in the house isn't a problem, but unless you can leave them in a higher place when you're on the road, you have to somehow fit them in a camper van or a car. I mean, it's a bit of a pain in the neck, so I'm kind of half and half on the compactability of it, so I'll give it a kind of a 3. In terms of protecting your bike, not excellent. It all depends on what the baggage handlers feel like doing on the day. You know, you can put all the padding and stuff and bubble wrap or whatever that you want, or towels, but if they feel like bashing it around, you might get a damaged bike. So I'm going to give it a 2 or 1 or 2 out of 5 for the protecting the bike, and that goes to robustness as well. It scores poorly in that area as well. And in terms of agility, 0 out of 5. You have to put it on a trolley. You can't wheel it. If you have to go from a train, say in France, if you get to a train station, you have to walk to a hotel, how are you going to carry a bike box? It's just not feasible. I mean, I suppose you could pack it down at the airport and chuck it away and then ride your bike around, but if you've got all your luggage, I mean, for me, a bike box is only practical if you're flying into an airport and getting a camper van or a taxi or something to somewhere, and that's another thing. A bike box is very big. Trying to fit into a taxi in Europe is going to be very difficult if you can't find a large, like a minivan, but then again, that goes for all these solutions. So overall, that's a very, very quick rundown. If I had to choose, this bag would come first, the Cycon second, the bike pods, whether it's Polaris or like a OEM one out of China, a 3, and bike box is a distant 4th. This thing beats the Cycon because it's, for me, it's almost half the price, probably about 40% less in terms of price. The protection's a lot better than the Aero Comfort Plus. The only area it loses out to the Aero Comfort Plus, or there's a couple of areas, sorry, it's slightly heavier, probably about 2 kilos heavier. It doesn't pack down quite as well, but it's still very good. And also the agility, the Sycon's probably 1 point better on the agility in terms of it's got 4 wheels, 2 front ones, a swivel one, so you can leave it flat and just drag it around, which is very good. But once again, I highly recommend this bike bag out of those 4 solutions. Now from this video review, we're missing one bike bag that I really want to review, or there's 2. There's a hard case that kind of packs down like a suitcase. It's got 2 rear wheels and an extendable arm. You pick it up. I want to get my hands on one of those and review it. And the second one is a BikND Helium BikND, which it's got air protection. You blow up panels, so it's got air protection for the bike. It packs down very, very well, and it's a similar sort of construction to the Evo C with the wheels at the back and picking it up at the front. So it looks pretty light. So I also want to get my hands on one of those, but they're pretty expensive. So we'll see what happens with that. But for the vast majority of you out there watching this video, this baby at around 330 Australian dollars is going to do what you need. Domestic travel, international travel. When you're back at home, it packs down really well. So if you're in the market for a bike bag, definitely check one of these out. And there's a link at the start of this video to this product from Wiggle, which is an affiliate link. So if you end up buying something, I'll get a small commission, just have to let you know. One last thing is, if you buy this bike bag from Wiggle or from wherever else, you have to get this road bike adapter if you're putting a road bike in it. This thing basically has the forks in the front. It sits in the front of the bike bag so that it sort of packs the bike bag out, because this bike bag is meant for mountain bikes as well as road bikes. And the last thing is, I'll be doing a video showing how to put this bike here inside the bike bag and pack it properly. That will be a video, and also just a normal post with photos, so check that out. By the time this video is up, that one should also be up as well. So that way you'll have a full review of this, comparison of this compared to the others, and how to get your bike packed away in this bike bag. So you've got all the information in your hands to get a decent solution for your travel needs for your bike. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and please check the others out. This is Tim signing out.